Okay, guys, this is just a real quick explanation of the assignment for the week. So if you look on the slides for the virtual week, the last couple of pages will help you out. So it just talks about measuring trees. This is how they do it now. A computer does it and slices it. It's super cool. Watch this video. And so you're going to pretend kind of like you're that computer saw, and you're going to try to get as many 2x4s. If you look at this picture here, um, there's way more than just 2x4s. This shows up here. Hold on. So you see, it's just got all these different lumber. So this is probably a 2x4 in here. So this full stack of 2x4s. And so we're going to try to make as many 2x4s as we can. And then you're going to come back and answer these questions. So I'll come back to that part here in a second. But basically, here's the assignment. You have your reading questions here. And then this is your assignment. So you're going to try to make as many 2x4s as you can. You can print this out if you have a printer at the house and just use colored pencils. Or there's a PNG that you can color that'll be linked on here. It's not linked on here yet. I thought I did that. I must not actually added the link. So I'll do that. But when you click on this, it'll pop this sheet up. Okay. And so what you're going to do is you can just click and drag these over, and you're just trying to make as many 2x4s as you possibly can. Okay. And so that'll kind of cover up the 2x4s. And so you can kind of just see that area. So that covered those squares. Okay. And then obviously we can take those back, but maybe I'll adjust that just a little bit to make it match up better. So let's see how that does. Okay. That's going to match up pretty perfectly on 2x4. So it's 2 inches by 4 inches big. And you can just click and drag those around. And the goal is to try to get as many 2x4s as you can out of this piece of wood. Okay. I think it's an 18-inch piece of wood. Let me go back and see what it says on the questions here. Yeah, so from this 18-inch log. And so if we counted these squares across, it would be 18 inches. Now, the thing here is that you can't really have bark that is part of your 2x4. So if you look here, this outside that's kind of the darker with the more lines, those are bark. So when you're doing that, you can't really have those be part of your 2x4. Okay. And so if you look here, this would be a good place to start. This one would be a good place to start. It's barely got a little bit of bark, but like I couldn't use these two up here because it's all bark, and then there's some empty space. So that just wouldn't be a good 2x4. All right. So, and if there's a crack in it or whatever, they don't really account for that. If that happens, then it just kind of becomes a 2x4 that they would use for maybe framing that wasn't as necessary, or they could maybe cut it out to make it to where it would fit the purpose that they were doing. So anyway, so what you're going to try to do is you're going to try to pull as many of these over here as you can. Okay. And you can kind of look and just make sure those lines match up. So that's a 2x4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 squares for every one of those. So you'll just keep moving these over as much as you can, get as many of those as you can, and then when you're done, you can count them all up. So you're going to try to get as many 2x4s in this square. And notice I have some that are laid vertical and some that are laid horizontal. And so just make sure that you're careful and you count that they're covering 2x4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, so that's 2 and that's 4. And if you have to, you can kind of resize those a little bit. Looks like I stretched those out a little bit. So just make sure that when you're moving them around, they're covering 2 squares this way and 4 squares that way. And so you can kind of just use that. So we usually just hand you a paper and you color them with colored pencils, and that's how it works. But obviously we can't do that. So just kind of take care of these. Should work okay. You can resize all those different colors. I just put a few different colors on here because then it helps you to count them when you're done. If they were all the same color, it'd be a little tough. All right. So then when you're all done, you'll have a number, and then you're going to answer these questions. You can use a calculator. I don't care. But you're just going to go through here. And in order to help you with that, it's the last slide on the video for the day. So These just give you some hints. It says count every square that is not in and not part of a 2x4. And so once you'll have that all these covered up, then you'll just go and you'll count all the scrap pieces. You have to count the bark too, because the bark is part of the tree, and that'll be part of wood waste, right? So it's called wood waste. And then if we go down on question number 8, is wood waste really wasted? We'll talk about that with our lesson, but the answer to that is no. And then you need to explain why it's not actually waste. What do we use wood waste for? Our whole idea that we've been kind of trying to get through to you guys is stuff is burnt to boil water, to make steam, to turn turbines, to create electricity. And so wood waste is used a lot like coal or natural gas and burning to create that steam to spin turbines. And so um, anyway, you'll just go through here. You'll use this thing that you put together with your coloring. How many 2x4s did you get? And then you'll just use those to answer questions. This gives you hints on what to do. Count every square, answer from question 1 multiplied by 8, because there's 8 squares for every 2x4. Answer from question 3 plus the answer from question 2, so that'll give you the total amount of squares that 18-inch log takes up. And then question 5, answer from number 3 divided by the answer, so you're going to get a percentage. And then same thing here with 6. So then on question 7, you'll add question 5 and question 6. If it's not 99 or 100, then you probably need to go back and look at your math a little bit on these. And I know you guys know how to do that from Mrs. Ravlett, Mr. Salisbury. They've helped you. So this is kind of our math and science lesson for our virtual school year. So I miss you guys, and if you need help, just contact me or Mr. Robinson via email or come to office hours on Fridays. So 2 to 3 every Friday. Mr. Robinson adds the Zoom link to the classroom. I send it out to you via email. So no excuses. Get your work done. Have fun with this. I can't remember what the record is. I have that written down in the book at school, and I haven't been there. So anyway, have fun with it. Try to get as many as you can. If you have to, make a copy of it before you start, so you can have another copy. And so if you mess it up, or you can just go back and move all these off and start over again. Try to get as many 2x4s as possible. Use the vertical, use the horizontal. Make sure you're getting 8 squares at a time though, and it has to be a 2 by a 4. Okay, it can't be a 1 by 8. All right. So hopefully that helps, and hopefully you have fun with it.